What's up?
We're back!
We're back after like 5 months. We finally have decided to record an episode. We were feeling the hockey vibe. The main thing that's made us want to do this is the trade deadline. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with it, and let's just get into it. But first, we do have some other things. So, other stuff around the league. So, first, I think this is the furthest back. We've got Thatcher Demko on the Canucks getting a 5x5, which is a big extension. He's played well, so I actually don't have an issue with this. I think if he can keep up his play, he'll be solid. This contract will look good. What do you think?
Yeah. Holtby isn't really doing too good, so Demko is probably their best hope at the moment. So.
And once they get the other guy from the minors that they have who's supposed to be better than Demko, then they'll be a really good tandem. And Holtby's kind of just bridging it over until he can come up. So, yeah. All right. Next, Spencer Knight got his entry level with the Panthers, and Alex Newhook with the entry level with the Avalanche. So, some young players getting, hopefully, chances in the NHL. This is being recorded on Wednesday, the 7th of April. So, any trades that happened after this point, even if we get it out, I'll probably get it out Thursday or Friday. We won't have them covered in this. We only have one trade we're covering, and that is Vinny Hinostroza to Chicago for Brad Morrison.
My boy Vinny Hinny.
I have no issue with Hinostroza going to Chicago as depth player that they can get. I think they had him a while ago.
Yeah, I think that was one of his first teams.
Morrison
Chicago.
went to the Panthers. I didn't actually research this, so Morrison.
So.
Morrison. I'm not gonna do a quick research. I think he's a defenseman, and that would be a good trade. The Panthers do need a defenseman, so not bad. Next, there was a couple players who got sent down to waivers for a second. Nikita Gusev on New Jersey, he's back up, I think, and Shane Gostisbehere on the Flyers got sent down, and he's back up now. But no one claimed either of them.
I would have jumped on.
If Gostisbehere went down, I think Buffalo or a team with a lot of cap space should have grabbed him. That would have been an easy take. But no one. It's just really weird to me.
Boston should have.
No, they don't have cap space, and also, they don't have a cap for it. No, they have 2 or 3 million, but you get there's a bit more deadline cap space that you have. And then
doesn't Buffalo have 7 million?
But no one claimed any of them, so it's kind of weird to me that no one did that. I don't know. Then we have a couple. We also have more news with the Canucks. There's been a breakout with the pandemic.
Yeah, with the thing that's been going on.
21 players. 21 players are out. The coaching staff is out. It's just really unfortunate because they haven't played a game in a long time. They're still out. No timetable on when they're getting back. Kind of stinks. The Rangers, that team is getting completely vaccinated, though. That's good.
Yeah, the Rangers are almost completely vaccinated.
Yeah, I do want to mention this. I was browsing through hockey Twitter, and I saw a tweet that was which team do you think will have the worst struggle in the expansion draft? And there was a reply saying the Sabres because we struggle with everything, and I thought that was really funny. And it was sadly true as well. All right.
Speaking of the Sabres, I think we should mention what
their 18-game losing streak.
Edwards said about their team The NHL's version of a dumpster fire.
Dude, the Sabres had an 18-game losing streak. Jack Edwards in the Bruins game against them. I'm totally fine with that. The Flyers, the Sabres beat the Flyers 6-1. The Flyers dying for a bit. So that was I was gonna have that in the discussion, but then I was like, oh wait, their losing streak's been over. They've won 2 games since. They haven't been doing as terrible, but still. And then I think just some injuries. So Gallagher is on the LTIR. He'll be there for 6 weeks. He's out for 6 weeks, which is bad for Montreal. Blake Wheeler for the Jets is out indefinitely. We don't have a timetable on him. Suspected concussion. And McAvoy missed the Bruins game last night. He's upper body injury, which is not good. He's a Norris candidate. Hoping he can get back. All right. Now, the trades. So, what we did is we, for every single team, wrote down the best players that they had to trade, the key players they have to re-sign, and then also a mock trade with our favorite team. So for me, the Bruins, and for Ben, the Wild. So
interesting, because I only did the key players and the mock trade.
All right, I'll definitely have the best players to trade then. I did a lot of research. So the we'll start with each of our teams and the trades we have with each other. So first, the Bruins, the best pieces they had to trade for me are, or in my opinion, are DeBrusk, Bjork, and Moore. I don't want to see. I mean, DeBrusk, maybe he could. I don't want to see Bjork go, but he's in a lot of my trades. And then John Moore, we don't need him. He's been scratched a lot. Now he's on the LTIR, or he's injured. He got season-ending surgery, and basically it would be a next year piece, or a piece that Seattle could pick up. If the team wanted to get them to bite on that, but. He's on a 5-year or he's in the second year of a 5-year contract, $2.275 million. We don't need to be spending that on him. So, yeah, the key players we have to re-sign: Krejci, Rask, Carlo, Ritchie, and Frederick. Those are the 5 I have. Ben, who did you have for key players?
For key players for Boston, I have Krejci, Corrali, Halak, Rask, Miller, and Kampfer.
Okay.
I see something in Kampfer no one else does.
Okay, so Corrali isn't a key player. He's a fourth liner. I want him to get re-signed, but he's not a key player. Kampfer, he's usually scratched. We don't need him.
I know, but I have a feeling in my gut.
He's 30. He's 34.
I know, but I have a feeling in my gut.
All right, and you didn't have Rask on there.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. Halak is not. No. He was, but then Vladar and Swayman's first game yesterday, he made 40 saves in his first ever game, and Vladar's been awesome, so I don't see a need for Halak anymore. I don't think we're going to re-sign him. And then Carlo, obviously. Who were the others you had?
I had Miller and, Halak, Rask, Miller, Kampfer, Krejci, Corrali.
So with Miller, I do think he would be a good addition, like a good addition to re-sign, but I don't think he's a critical re-sign. Like, the key players are, like, players either, like, really good prospects or, like, players who have a huge impact on the team right now. Miller has...
Oh, then I did this wrong.
Then just like cross them off, as I talk sometimes. But, alright. The things I think Boston needs are top 6 forward to play with Krejci and Ritchie, and then a bottom 4 defenseman. So we have McAvoy and Grizzly, who should be the top pair, but we need another defenseman. So, for Minnesota, who are the key players, the best pieces to trade? I can say mine, and then what do they need? All right. Best players to trade. I think it's just Nick Bjugstad. I didn't really find anything else. Who do you think are the key ones they need to re-sign?
Funny enough, I put Bjugstad, but he'd be low on the key players. He'd be like, there's a couple things that he does really good. That's why I think I put him there. But I also have Marcus Johansen, Nick Bonino, and Ian Cole. Cole has been a pretty good defenseman for the Wild lately, and Marcus Johansen, he's a starter forward. He's, I think, underrated. Bonino, we just got him. I don't think he's going anywhere.
So, the players I put were Kirill Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson Ek, and Kevin Fiala. You don't have those guys.
I may or may not have assumed that they were going to get re-signed.
Oh.
Then these guys would be next.
Oh, yeah. Those 3 are the ones you need to re-sign. Now, I want to say my mock trade for Minnesota because...
Go for it.
So, Jake DeBrusk, a first and a second, for Kevin Fiala and a third.
I do not mind that.
Yeah. Because we need the top 6 forward, and Minnesota, they would lose Fiala. They would lose Fiala, but
I implanted it into your brain.
Well, no, I was combining Kevin and Fiala. But Fiala, they would lose him, but they would get DeBrusk. Maybe they can do something with his development. And then also, the first would be the main piece there. DeBrusk could be switched out for like Bjork or like a smaller piece because the first is a really big piece there. What's your mock trade with Boston?
From Minnesota, they would be getting a 5th round pick for the person with the greatest name in hockey history, Greg McKegg.
I know, I love that name, Greg McKegg. I don't see a problem with that trade. It's a solid trade.
And we can develop him in Iowa for a bit, or just bring him straight up.
He's 28.
All right, then we'll start him.
Yeah.
He's going to be a starter. He is first line. He is our best player now.
He's been
now in the Hall of Fame.
So he's been scratched for the Bruins. He's been scratched for the Bruins. The 5th round pick does make sense. Like that would be a good return for him. I don't think there's an issue with trading him. He did in his first game up get a goal. So it was like I think he is a good depth player for the Bruins to have, but yeah, I don't think that's a bad trade. All right, so now we have our teams set. It's time to move on to the actual, like every team, and we're gonna try to move kind of quickly. So Anaheim, best pieces to re-sign for them, or best pieces to re-sign. We'll start with that. Sam Steele, Max Jones, Maxime Comtois, and Alexander Volkov. So 4 rookies, 4 players who have been either really good or they just got Volkov in a trade and he has really good potential. I think he's been doing well in the Swedish league, or maybe it's Swiss, but wherever he's been playing well, and I think he could be a good asset for them.
Yeah, I definitely did not do this right. I said Ryan Miller and David Backes.
I don't think Backes has been getting a lot of ice time for them even. And Ryan Miller's been terrible.
Yeah, I now realize I've made a grave mistake. we'll come through in the long haul with the mock trades.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably where I'm going to do
Okay,
well.
I'll let you do
That's where I focus mainly. I'm like, I need a good trade. That's
exactly. And I think you can do the trades, and I can come through. I can go with the other two and the trade. So the best pieces for them to trade: Getzlaf and Raquel. Raquel is a risky trade, but it is because it's 2 years, so you'd have to protect him if you wanted to keep him. So the trades I have are a first rounder for Raquel, just straight up, which I don't. Oh wait, no, a first and Bjork for Raquel, and then a second and DeBrusque for Raquel, because DeBrusque has more value than Bjork, and I think either of those trades could go through. Sweeney's he did a bunch of deals with the Ducks last year, so I don't think that there's anything with that. And also the Bruins, I do have to think because I forgot about RFA, so teams can take. Actually, if you just don't oh wait, no. Okay, so the teams, the UFAs, they don't have to sign them. Signing them would be a bad idea because then you'd have more players to protect. But if you have any RFAs, you need to sign them and then protect them, which kind of stinks. Because if Seattle takes them, then you would lose them because you wouldn't be able to sign them. Seattle would sign them. So it's interesting. But I think Raquel could be a good option for the Bruins. What about your trade?
Since you said that this dude is on your players that Anaheim should re-sign, I now realize that I have again made a great mistake.
Oh, dude.
I said
Who?
Brad Hunt for Max Comtois.
That. So
I didn't realize how much potential Comtois had.
So Comtois, yeah, he's been really good. So the key players.
I forgot he was a rookie.
So the key players to re-sign that stuff. Like I have players on that list who I've said to Arizona.
Arizona.
So the best pieces to trade, in my opinion, are either Antti Raanta or Darcy Kemper, so one of those two. Derek Brassard and Alex Goligoski. So Connor Garland's on my key to re-sign. I did have him on best pieces, but then I was like, no, they need him. So, Ben, you do your mock trade with Arizona first.
Alright, my mock trade is from Minnesota, Joseph Cramarosa for Michael Grabner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that definitely that's a trade that could happen.
I want it to happen because Grabner is underrated, I believe.
And they have around the same value. Same value, so yeah. My trade's a bit more spicy. From the Bruins, Jake DeBrusque, Anders Bjork, Urho Vakanainen, a first rounder and a third rounder for Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Derek Brassard.
You're a maniac. You just, here, take our whole team. We want two guys.
No, I did. DeBrusque and Bjork, who very well could be traded, along with a prospect, Vakanainen, who hasn't really panned out, and we have other defensive prospects, along with a first and a third. And also they would retain some of Ekman-Larsson's salary, so that's why it's so much. And it would be Ekman-Larsson and Brassard. So the Bruins were one of two teams that OEL was actually up to being traded for, or in the before free agency last year. So he is willing to go to Boston, and he's a really good player. Like if we could get him and imagine Ekman-Larsson and McAvoy on the top pair. That would be stupid good. Like, that would be chaotic and scary. It's definitely a trade that makes sense. And we get the forward, we get Brassard. But I don't think this is going to happen, especially with Arizona vying for a playoff spot, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be selling their captain. All right. So we did the Bruins. Now the Sabres. Oh man, that terrible team. Best pieces to trade, in my opinion, Hall and Montour. And the best pieces to re-sign, Reinhart, Ullmark, Jokiharju, and Dahlin. Just gotta get your young guys together. What's your mock trade?
I've got coming from Minnesota, Luke Johnson for Tobias Rader.
Yeah, another like fourth line trade that actually works. Like Minnesota needs a fourth liner, right?
Yeah, we need centers. We desperately need good centers.
Oh yeah.
And I think if we get fourth liners, we can work them up. Like if we had a second line center, he'd have a burst of confidence from being on the second line.
Yeah. For me, I have a bunch of trades speculated here. And there's a fifth that I don't have written down. So I have Taylor Hall for Bjork, a second and a third. Hall for DeBrusk, a second and a third, if they think the other one's too low. Hall for Bjork and a first, or Hall for Bjork and 2 seconds. And then also, hear me out here. So it's Hall for Bjork, Hall and Montour for Bjork, a defensive prospect, and a second and a third. And that one is super important because it gets us that it'll get us a second line forward, and it'll get us the defenseman. That would be an insane trade, and it is a possibility.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
Really? Because the thing is, Hull's value has tanked. Like, Buffalo is going to be lucky. Like, they're not getting a first round pick for Hull. There's no way. Because Hull has 2 goals and, 15 assists. That's a middle six. That's like a middle six forward value, not like the value he was putting up in New Jersey. Like, they're not going to get an amazing package for him like they did there. Like New Jersey did. Buffalo's going to get a package, but for him and Montour, Bjork, a good defensive prospect like Vakanainen or someone like that. So they get a forward who can develop well, a good defensive prospect that they need. They get a second, which this draft is super deep, and a third, which, like I said, the draft is super deep, so those have a lot more value this year.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and the thing is, everyone on Buffalo is underperforming, so everyone can get sold. And I think if Hall gets to the Bruins, he's going to perform because he hasn't played for a good team, in a long time. Since the 2016 Oilers, and then he got traded. And then the Oilers stunk again. That was a trash trade. For both sides. New Jersey got MVP season out of Hull, but he couldn't carry them through the Lightning. And then the Oilers got Adam Larson. Alright, I just do want to take this time to ask you if you are enjoying the podcast. Make sure to follow, subscribe on whatever platform you are listening on. And also, we have an actual YouTube channel for it. Spit and Chiclet. And we have an actual channel for it. Tumblin Muffins on YouTube. And let's get back to the podcast. Alright.
And as always, I hope you enjoy.
Alright, we got Calgary Flames here. They are... I'm actually adding a player to my best players to trade list right now. They are also doing very bad. The North Division is the worst division in hockey right now, in my opinion. Because the Maple Leafs, Jets, and Canadiens aren't getting really any tests, and the Oilers too. Like, all of them probably faced up against any other top teams will just collapse. So I don't think the North Division. And then if you look at the Flames, so the players they need to re-sign, Dylan Dubé and Oliver Kylington, two good young prospects. Dubé's been really good this season, so just get those guys locked down. The best players to trade, Sam Bennett. He doesn't want to be there. He's made that clear. He's not getting ice time. Got to trade him. Dominic Simone. Good depth forward for a team at the trade deadline. Josh Levo, another depth piece for a contending team who needs it. And David Riddick for any... because Riddick's not been good, and they need to actually, like...
do something about it.
So they need to trade, like, they could trade Riddick to a it's all the contending teams. All the teams who are selling need to trade to contending teams to get picks. So for I'll go with my mock trade first. Jake DeBrusk and a fourth for Andrew Mangiapane. Now, it might sound like overpayment for Mangiapane, but he's been pretty good this season, and DeBrusk has not. DeBrusk actually been very bad, so, but he has a lot of potential, so that's why it would be a trade that makes sense. And the fourth because Mangiapane's been better.
Alright. Coming from Minnesota, I've got Luke Johnson for Josh Levo.
Yeah, alright. Yeah. Like I said, a depth piece for a team, and that's what Josh Levo is. Yeah.
Dakota Mermis is, I believe, scratched at the moment for Minnesota, and hopefully Calgary does not look at that. And Calgary's like, oh, I think I've heard of him. Maybe he's good. Yum, yum, yum. Give me that Dakota.
I don't think the Wild would make that trade.
Yeah.
It's not an expansion draft. All right, the Carolina Hurricanes. So they have a bunch of players. They need to re-sign Andrei Svechnikov, Dougie Hamilton, and Alex Nedeljkovic. They need to re-sign all three of those. Nedeljkovic has been lights out recently in that. Hamilton, I mean, if Hedman wasn't in their division, he would be the best defenseman in the division. And Svech is awesome. Svech is awesome. Best place to trade, though, James Reimer, because Mrazek's back. He's been really good. And obviously Nedeljkovic. They don't need Reimer. They could trade him and get some good pieces for him because he's been good. Brock McGinn, depth piece for a team. And Jake Bean. Now, highly touted prospect defenseman, but they have too many defensemen, and they need a right defenseman. They have like 5 lefty and 2 right D, so they're putting left-handed defensemen on the right side. So the trade that I have is Jake Bean, who's a left-handed, for Jeremy Lauzon, who's a right-handed defenseman, and a second and a fourth, because Bean has a bit more potential. And I think it gives the Hurricanes what they need. Gives the Bruins what they need. Pew!
Alright, I've got Carson Soucy for Jake Gardner.
Actually, that could work, because, Gardner's a left-handed defenseman. They need to get rid of those. And Soucy's a defenseman, right?
Soucy is... No, he's offense.
Actually, that probably they have enough defensemen. Yeah, Soucy, it would be a good depth piece. Yeah. With,
Oh, wait, no, he is a defenseman.
He is a defenseman. Okay, I thought so, yeah. Is he right-handed or left-handed?
He is left.
Alright, yeah. So, while I think they would still make that trade, just because Gardner has like the same skill level as Soucy and a way bigger contract, so they would still be getting rid of his contract. So that trade actually makes less sense for Minnesota because Gardner is
expensive
and bad. And Soucy is
He's been doing good lately.
Decent depth defenseman, so yeah. Blackhawks. Players they need to resign. P.S. Suter, Alex Nylander, both of them good rookies. Best players to trade, some depth players, Lucas Wallmark and Carl Soderberg. Both have been good. They can get a pretty good package for Soderberg, who's been overperforming a bit. And Wallmark's another depth piece. What's your trade?
Nick Bukestad for Zach Smith.
Yeah, that's... You could actually probably throw in a third or fourth for with Zach Smith, like going back to the Wild, because Bukestad is better. And that's what you could do for the 1-for-1 with Soucy and Gardner. If you wanted to get equal value, you could throw in a third-round pick with Gardner, because you'd at least get a pick. Yeah. So the trade I've got. Oh, I forgot about this one. Oh man. So from Boston, DeBrusk, Vakanainen, a second and a third, and from Chicago, a 5th-round pick, and Dominic Kubalik. I'm kind of crazy.
Where are you getting these weird trades?
So Kubalik, well, for one, he hasn't been as good this season. He's still been really good. The 5th is just to like even it out. To get a second, which is like a really high. It's a good pick to get. The second-round picks have really high value this year. They get Vakanainen, a decent defensive prospect. DeBrusk would probably benefit in their system, playing with like Taze and Kane and Doc and all them. And then the third rounder is just to even it out because Kubalik is better than DeBrusk. I don't know. I just think like imagine Kubalik, Ritchie, and Krejci. That'd be a really sick. Or Ritchie, Krejci, and Pasta, and then Marshy, Bergie, and Kubalik. Both are sick lines that would be really good for the Bruins, and I think that trade does work. I don't think it's gonna happen, but we're just speculating. That would be a sick trade. Colorado. Key players to re-sign, obviously, Landeskog, Grubauer, and Makar. You gotta re-sign them. Keep best players to trade, Jost, Comfer, and Patterson. All depth pieces. Patterson's a defenseman. They do not need defensemen. So, what's your trade, or do you have any thoughts on the best players to trade or the key players to re-sign?
I said key players to keep. One key player to keep that I think is Matt Calvert.
Maybe. So
or Brandon Saad.
I think Saad over Calvert. Calvert's 4th-line guy for them. Saad is a 2nd line, so I think he would be a bit more key. If they keep Saad, that's amazing for them. Yeah.
My trade is Nico Sturm for Tyson Jost.
Yeah, that's a reasonable trade. What is Sturm? Defenseman or?
He is scratched center at the moment.
Yeah, I could see that trade going through. And Jost is also a center, and he is not.
Basically
yeah.
a slightly.
It's an upgrade, so it maybe add like a pick in, like a 4th-round pick going towards the Avalanche, because Jost is an upgrade from Sturm. But with Jost, his development has just not gone through. He's been kind of buried in their system, so it would be good for him to get a change of scenery.
Also, it would possibly be good for Sturm, too, because he'd be with those, like, really good guys, and that might rub off on him, and he could be pushed further up. And I like the kid. I think he deserves better than Minnesota at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so I actually am gonna edit my Blue Jackets one.
I'm not, because I like it because it makes you mad.
Well, not my trade. So the Blue Jackets key players to re-sign: Alexander Texier. That's it. I had Line on there. But
that's probably going to be a trade.
They're trying... Yeah, I just switched it. Because the Blue Jackets are trying to turn Line into a 200-foot player. Not developing anything else. They're trying to make him a better all-around-the-ice player. You gotta make him effective first. He was doing well before you did this.
They're trying to make Pierre...
They're
trying to make Dubois again.
Yeah, Dubois with a bit better scoring and a winger. But that's not gonna work. You're decreasing his scoring. You're destroying his development.
Does not know how to pass. He's
Laine knows how to pass.
Hog.
No,
I think he's a puck hog.
Laine knows how to pass. Laine just is not a 200. He's not good. He's not amazing defensively. If you have a team that tries to develop his offensive skills over his defense, then he will be a very effective player. Probably a second line player for the power play, and that's it. But you don't make him a 200-foot player. Come on, Dave! Yeah. But other than Laine, trade Riley Nash, but probably not anymore. He got injured. David Savard and Nick Foligno. So what is your trade?
Jonas Brodin for Zach Werenski. I'll throw in a third rounder with Brodin.
Alright. So, Werenski from Minnesota, probably Dumba a first and a second for Werenski would be a reasonable trade.
Well, I'm not a reasonable person, so I am not easily reasoned with.
Dude, if the Minnesota GM came up to the Columbus GM and said, hey, I'll give you Brodin and a third for Werenski, I think he'd get laughed at. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just saying Brodin is so much worse than Werenski. I want to see what that trade looks like on NHL 21. Because that would probably be really funny to see what it actually looks like, you know? Oh.
Yeah. I was actually going to change it, but then I'm like, it makes him mad, so I will keep... It would have been a lot easier if it was Savard for Brodin.
Yeah, and my trade is Savard for a second and a third. Yeah.
That's about what Brodin's worth, yeah.
I would say Brodin is a second and a fifth, maybe. Wait, it's Brodin. I don't think... No, Brodin's not that good.
Hey, Nickelodeon. He's second line defense.
If we traded Carlo,
and he's being paid over $4 million. I now realize that it's Minnesota who has made some other grave mistakes by overpaying everybody. Because
and it's
Carson
so
Soucy is getting over $2 million,
so
almost $3 million.
So I read an article that says why the Bruins team culture is so good because all of the top players, they take bargain contracts, and everyone else below them then also takes bargain contracts just so they can stay with the team. That's the reason the Bruins have done so well in free agency, and they've had the quick rebuild in 2016. That's why they've been so good, because they're the leaders in the locker room, like Bergeron, and like Krejci's deal is actually, like, at the time of the signing, took up less of the cap than Bergeron's deal did. And Krejci's getting paid 7.2 and Bergeron's like 6.8. But Krejci's deal was actually, like, at that time Krejci could have gotten $8 million. he did take a bargain from what he could have gotten. Bergeron could have gotten it was 2013, so he probably could have gotten a good 7.5 to 8 million. But he took the bargain, and every single Chara also in 2013 signed a 6-year deal for I think it was 7 million per year. So when the leaders take bargains, everyone else takes bargains.
I probably would have done a lot better in the trades if I had known that I could be like, oh, here's 3 players that I'm looking to trade, and here's what I
So
want.
I didn't know you didn't know that. I was just dealing. I'm just dealing DeBrusque and Bjorken for trade.
I would have done. It would have been a lot easier if I was just Hartman, Dumba, Bukestad. Those would be my 3.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, no, not Bukestad.
No, Bukestad's a great player for them to trade.
It'd be Susie, it'd be Greenway, and Dumba.
Greenway? No. Bukestad over Greenway.
Oh yeah, Greenway has been doing decent.
And also, he's 10 years younger.
And Greenway is Greenway, and Bukestad's Bukestad.
Yeah. Also, okay, let's move on. We gotta go a bit quicker here. The Stars. Players they need to resign. They need to resign Heiskanen. They need to resign Kiviranta. And they need the best players from the trade, Julius Honka, because he does not want to play for them. Blake Como, Mark Physick, because they're both depth players. They'd probably have to eat some of Como's contract, and then also Jamie Oleksiak, because a team looking for a big defenseman, like Boston, I said Jamie Oleksiak for a 3rd rounder. It's a reasonable trade. But Oleksiak, the Stars in general are just dying. So
I said Jordan Greenway for Jason Dickinson.
Yeah, it's a solid trade. Maybe add a 3rd round pick coming to Minnesota for that. But yeah, not bad. Okay. Red Wings. Oh, the Red Wings. They need to re-sign Bertuzzi, Svechnikov, Evgeny Svechnikov, and Adam Ernie. They need to trade. Get ready for it. Jonathan Bernier, Bobby Ryan, John Merrill, Luke Glendening, and Valtteri Filppula. This is a sell year. Because there's a lot of good picks in this draft. They need to get some picks. Mine's Bobby Ryan for a 3rd rounder. I don't think anyone
Mine's Eriksson Ek, a 3rd rounder in 2022 for Troy Stecher.
So, probably at the beginning of this year, that trade would have made sense. That trade would have made sense.
Don't edit that out. Don't edit that out.
I'm probably going to.
You're mean.
That trade would have made sense before this year, but because Eriksson Ek was underperforming, he was doing badly with Minnesota last year and the year before. But this year,
that's basically what I put into the trade. I wasn't really thinking about what it was doing now.
Yeah, I was looking at the all the stats feeling cap friendly and stuff like that, and I think he's at 0.7. He's at 0.7 points per game. He's having a really good season. Trading him plus a 3rd for Troy Stecher would just
be dumb.
He is that's why I put him on the need to re-sign, because he's actually been good this year.
I think that's the only trade I have Eriksson Ek, because I realized that I don't think I want to get rid of him.
Yeah. Edmonton. They need to re-sign Barrie and Yamamoto, even though Yamamoto hasn't been that good this year. Now, hear me out on this. The best pieces to trade... My gosh, my English. The best pieces to trade. Dominic Cahoon, because like depth forward. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Listen to me. So, he's been really good, but he might want a big contract, or... you could get some, you can get several playable people for him. So, he might not be, the absolute best. For my trade, I have him going to Boston for John Moore, Anders Bjork, and a first-round pick. They get a roster player for next year, because Moore's surgery, and a first. And also, it makes the cap work with Moore's contract. So it's a bit of a long shot trade, and it isn't as even on the side of Edmonton. They don't get as much. Yeah. Well,
they're used to making trades where they don't barely get anything, aren't they?
Well, they have Ken Holland now, so Ken Holland's actually going to do stuff as GM other than Peter Chiarelli. Sagan, no.
Yeah, for my trade, I have Slater Cuckoo for a 4th round.
Who does the 4th round go to? Edmonton? Oh, Cuckoo's on Edmonton. Okay. So, yeah. No, that's reasonable. Cuckoo's okay.
Depth defenseman also would be a leader in the locker room. I think Minnesota would be a great place for him to retire, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Florida Panthers. They gotta re-sign Duclair. He's been good. To trade Henrik Borgstrom and Sam Montembeault, because they have... Montembeault's a backup goalie that a contending team can use. They have Bobrovsky doing well. They have Drieger doing well. And now they have Spencer Knight on an entry-level contract. I mean, you don't need Montembeault anymore. Now, what's your trade?
Ian Cole for Marcus Nudavara.
That's not a terrible trade. I know Nudavara is younger and has more potential than Cole, so maybe a 4th round pick in there from Minnesota.
Alright, yeah, that makes more sense. Because now I'm starting to realize that all my trades aren't that good, and
well, a lot of them are good. It's just you could add a pick on the side of one that has a bit more value. The Werenski ones.
See, I didn't know that I didn't know that we could just say a pick, like a 4th round.
Oh
pick,
yeah. Just make it's just a reasonable. Yeah.
I was saying a pick, and then in a trade next, I'm like, well, I already used that pick in an earlier trade, so I can't use that again. So I was eliminating stuff, and that's why I asked you if I could do players.
Oh, so you were making it.
I ran out of players to trade.
You were making it like it was they were making every single trade this season.
Yeah, I'm now realizing that it would have been a lot easier for me to do it the way you did.
Still interesting,
but I gave 110%.
Yeah.
I'll try again next season.
All right. My trade was Anthony Duclair to Boston and a 5th for John Moore, Robert Lantosi, who's one of our prospects, offensive prospects, who's been doing really well, and a 2nd rounder. It's pretty reasonable. Duclair has been good, but the 2nd rounder is kind of what pushes the trade even. Kings. Key players to resign, Iafallo and Trevor Moore. Best players to trade, Athanasiou and Anderson, both people they either traded for or signed who have not worked out or could work on a better team. Now, my trade is... I just said Iafallo was on the re-sign, but Iafallo for a 1st, DeBrusk, and a 3rd. Now, it's a bit of an overpay. Maybe a 1st and Bjork. because
Yeah, because that's way better than what you were giving him.
Well, Iafallo's been on fire for the Kings this season, and also he's a key part of their offense. So I think for them to give him up, it would cost a bit more.
My finger's stuck. Oh. Well, my trade is Andrew Hammond from the Wild and a 5th rounder for Velarde.
How's he doing this season? I know Andrew Hammond's a goalie, right? Yeah, he's a goalie. So basically, you're basically giving the Kings a 5th round pick for Velarde.
I hadn't realized that Hammond was a goalie.
You don't need goalies. That's just a...
Yeah, we're pretty good.
The Kings actually do need a goalie, so you're basically giving... for the Wild, you're giving a 5th round pick for Velarde and just throwing in Hammond. Because, like that's actually a good trade, because Velarde is a depth player. They need goalies. Quick is terrible. They need to trade him, but...
My brother would tell you otherwise, because look what he bought. He bought a signed Jonathan Quick picture. He bought that the other day.
Quick is not good, and the only reason he hasn't been traded is because his cap is too much. You froze, by the way.
He has too many lies. I did?
Yeah, just, restart your camera. Just turn it on and off. Yep, there you go. Alright. Okay.
We already talked about Minnesota.
Yep. Le Montreal Canadiens.
Allons-y, Le Montreal.
Yeah, I can't French. The key players to resign.
I can't French.
Does sound a bit weird. Key players to resign: Thomas Tatar, Philip Deneau, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. You froze again.
Dang it, I was trying to see if it would...
Alright, you moving a lot is making it freeze. Alright. And then the best players from the trade are Lehkonen and Armia, because they're both not, they don't need them, and cap. So I just said Joel Armia for a 3rd rounder because they don't have enough cap for anything.
I've made a grave mistake with my trade, but I'll give it 110%.
Give me the trade. What's the trade? What is it?
Marcus Foligno for Joel Armia.
It's a fine trade. Foligno's not that good.
Okay.
And Armia's actually been good, so they need a... I actually think you could add a pick to Minnesota's side of the trade. Because Armia is... just do a 3rd rounder like I did. Just because Armia isn't... Or Armia is better than Foligno. And you don't want to do a pick and Foligno because then you're giving up more than Armia. For Nashville, it's interesting. Okay. Nashville's interesting. They've been doing good. So I don't know if they're sellers or not. They guaranteed need to re-sign Tolvanen. And then the best players from the trade: Eric Howla, Mikhail Granlund, Brad Richardson, and Matthias Ekholm. Ekholm is it's a maybe. They would get a lot back for him probably, but they could need him. Now.
Yeah.
I'd like to state my trade. It's very interesting. Victor Arvidsson for Anders Bjork, a 2nd and a 3rd. Yeah.
Earth to Noah, are you in there?
I'm there. I'm good. Yeah. So the Arvidsson has been struggling. Have you seen his stats? He has not been good. He's been bad. They would get a new prospect to work with.
Shall not steal someone's captain, though. He's not the captain.
He's not even the assistant now. It's Yossi.
Oh.
Yeah, Yossi and then Ellis.
Yeah, my trade is...
Yeah. Ellis has the alternate, I think. And I don't know who else. But Arvidsson hasn't been good. So Bjorken, a second and a third. Good package. We get him for the second line. Does well. Easy.
A third rounder from Minnesota for Ben Harper.
Could do a fourth. He isn't. Harper isn't like that valuable a player, but yeah, that's a reasonable trade. Oh.
We should head on down to Joyzy. Let's head to Joyzy.
So, key players for them to resign is Travis Zajac, just because he could be a leader in the locker room next year. Best players to trade: Palmeri, Vatanen, and Kulikov. Now, I was against Palmeri to Boston, but I'm not anymore because he's a good scorer and stuff like that. And this trade, DeBrusk, a second and a third, for Palmeri and Kulikov. That is a really realistic trade. Like, that actually could happen. Or no.
Yeah.
No, it would be Bjork.
But that's a trade you would see in NHL 20 during franchise mode. Like, why?
Yeah, and it would actually probably be Bjork and a first for Palmeri and Kulikov. Because...
Yeah, I have a little less better trade.
I have one more. I actually have...
Minnesota.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, so you froze. So it makes it even better.
Where my arms still up?
Yes. Well, they're like this. It's like...
Yay!
You're like this.
I don't know. What are you doing? I'm walking here.
You gotta turn your camera off and on.
Is it working?
You didn't turn your camera on. Oh, there you go. You're good.
Yeah?
You're good. Okay, we're good. So, my second trade is Miles Wood and a fourth for a first and Jake DeBrusk. Might think it's a bit expensive. Yeah. It's not. I don't know.
What was that noise?
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of the... you probably haven't seen any Devils games. But when the Bruins played the Devils, Miles Wood is so... Wood is so good. Like, he's been really good for them this season. But we give them DeBrusk and a first for Wood and a fourth. Prospect for a prospect. Like, develop... Like, we need... DeBrusk could do well in Jersey. But they could use him. What's your trade?
Victor Rask from Minnesota for Pavel Zacha.
Zacha? Yeah, that could be a good trade. Probably Victor Rask isn't good. Or not that good. So,
on the contrary, lately he's been doing amazing.
He hasn't been. He isn't like he's like a third or fourth line player. So I would say like Victor Rask and a fourth for Zacha, or even a third.
I'd put in a third. What?
You froze like this.
I did. You fool! you've made a grave mistake.
It was you saying, on the contrary, but you went, oh! There you go.
You fool. You have made a grave mistake.
Alright.
You froze now. Oh, there you go.
No, I just stopped moving. That was that.
Oh.
Alright. The Islanders. Kiefer Bellows is their best player to trade. He's a prospect, but they don't need prospects right now. They need they don't need prospects. They need Also, you froze again.
Sure.
You froze.
You know, I just want to have a good time and record a podcast, but...
Okay, so, oh my God. The New York Islanders. The New York Islanders. Key players to re-sign Beauvillier and Sorokin. I want the Bruins to get Beauvillier, but I know they aren't, so I'm not going to make a trade for that. Best player to trade is a prospect, Kiefer Bellows. He hasn't actually gotten a chance in the NHL, and they need NHL-ready players. So the trade, but that's not what I'm giving you. No, he doesn't fit on their roster. They haven't been able to put him up there, and he just hasn't been a good fit on their team. So Bellows for a first and a fifth. They get a good pick, or a reasonable pick.
Yeah, mine's from Minnesota, a fourth and a third for Corey Schneider. I realize I made a grave mistake, because we don't really need goalies, but...
I mean, you don't need goalies, but if you're going to trade for Corey Schneider, a fifth-round pick is good. Schneider's terrible.
So,
Schneider, you don't just a fit, and you don't want to trade for Corey Schneider, dude. He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible.
Okay.
Note to self. Schneider bad.
Corey Schneider bad.
Schneider bad.
Schneider bad. He did bad. Boom boom.
The Rangers. We're on to the Rangers now. Now, I think... Wait, if I just check my list... There is 2 teams in the entire NHL that no trade from me. I didn't make a trade. No, nothing makes sense. And that's the Rangers and the Capitals. The Rangers, the only players they're like that would be good to trade.
I didn't know we could do that. I would have done that for 3 teams. I didn't know we could just leave it open.
Alright. Well, you have trades for every team. You have more content. Alright. So, you're frozen again. Bruh. Alright. You're gonna get frozen again if you keep doing that. Alright. The Rangers. Key players to re-sign, Buchnevich and Shesterkin. Best players to trade, I would say Tony DeAngelo, but no team wants him.
Yeah, no one wants him. I read everything about that dude. No one wants him.
Florida Florida was rumored to be looking at him, but he's been traded 3 times, and he's a really good player. He's just not a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only one I have like good tradable is Di Giuseppe, and that's why I have no trade because the Bruins don't need him, and he's not a good fit.
Alright, for my trade is from Minnesota a 4th rounder for a 3rd rounder. It makes no sense, but that's why it's a good trade.
No. Here. So, here. Who's giving up the 3rd round pick?
Huh?
So, what's the trade again?
From Minnesota, a 4th rounder. From the Rangers, a 3rd rounder.
So, the Minnesota GM goes up to the Rangers GM. He's like, hey. So, I'm going to give you this 4th round pick. And you give me this more valuable pick. The 3rd round pick. Hey.
Yeah, but they had the 1st pick overall last season, so Minnesota needs a turn.
Here, so you got Lafreniere last season. Yeah, I get that.
They need to be patient.
I mean, they had Rossi drop to them. I mean, that's a bit of luck.
Exactly. We have to be smart. We need to be in the back, waiting for everyone to be like, nah, we're good, and be like,
all right.
You're the stats guy, I'm the comedic relief.
I don't know what you're saying anymore, dude. Alright, final paper.
My head with a charging cable.
Alright, let's speed round. It's speed round time. We're gonna get through. I'm moving around a lot. Okay. These next 5 teams. We're gonna speed round this. Ottawa. Key players to re-sign. Batherson and Kachuk, they're young guys. Obviously, they need to re-sign them. Best players to trade. Eric Goodbranson, Ryan Dzingel, Mike Riley, and Logan Brown. Brown, they don't need him. They haven't called him up. He has potential. Trade him. Goodbranson, good for a contending team. Dzingel, he could be good. The only place he's scored goals is Ottawa, so maybe keep him because no other team he'll score goals on. Mike Riley has 17 assists. I've never heard of this guy. Well, no, I have, but I didn't know he was, like, good. So, my trade is... Oh, yeah, wait. My trade is Dzingel and Riley for Anders Bjork, John Moore, and a 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah. You froze again, and now it just looks like you're judging me.
Okay, you know, my trade is from Minnesota, Matthew Boldy from their AHL team for Clark Bishop.
I got you to stop. Okay, wait. Matt Boldy for Clark Bishop?
Yeah.
How good is Clark Bishop?
Good enough that I want him.
Matt Boldy was the 10th overall pick last year. Not last year, but the year before.
Right,
the year before.
Not Matt Boldy. So, it is not Matt Boldy. I was thinking of someone else. Oh yeah, Hammond.
That's actually really funny to me. Cap friendly. I want to see teams. Ottawa. Clark Bishop. How is he? Gosh dang it. Clark Bishop. Right. Clark.
Oh, his birthday was like a few weeks ago. Happy birthday, bud.
Okay, so Clark Bishop is 25. And his stats... In 35 games, he has 7 points. Like, over his career.
That's so good.
Over his career. Matt Boldy is... Matt Boldy is, like, 19 and a half. Has not come up from the NHL, or to the NHL yet, but he's very highly touted. You know what you should trade for? You should trade for Bishop. You know what you should trade?
What? Nothing. Just ask them for him.
No. You should trade him. Zach Werenski.
Okay, guys. Yeah, you traded Donato for Coyle. Yeah, you guys did better. Yeah. You guys are the better team.
Coyle's better than Donato.
I know.
Thank you for him. Thank you for Coyle, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you for Donato, and he's not even with us anymore.
Alright.
We got nothing for that San Jose trade.
No, you didn't.
We got picks.
To be fair, Dubnik's been terrible. Like, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, because he's not playing for Minnesota.
No, Dubnik is a bad goalie. Okay, wait, this was a speed round! Philadelphia! Alright, they got to re-sign Sanheim, Patrick, and Hart. Hart actually returned to form against the Bruins. He was really good. He took a couple games off, and now he's been better. To trade Eric Gustafsson to a contending team, Shane Gostisbehere, and Scott Laughton. And the trade I have is Scott Laughton and a fourth for John Moore, Robert Lantosi, and a second rounder, which you might think is overpaying, but Scott Laughton's been like a really he's almost he's been really good, and the fourth rounder maybe add Scott Laughton and a third. That's it. What's your trade with the Flyers?
My trade is from Minnesota, Mitchell Chaffee and Matt Bartowski for Justin Braun.
They're not gonna, because Bartowski he's a minor league forward now, and he's like a veteran, so he's old. They're not gonna, and then I don't.
He's old and bad. People always want them.
You mean Minnesota wants them?
I'm about to hang up right now.
I don't know why they signed him. And then Mitchell Chaffee, I have no clue who that is. Like, Braun is actually like a big. He's a pretty big part of their defense. He's been solid all year, unlike everyone else.
Never even heard of him.
Yeah, really? They just signed him to a new contract recently, I think. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna fact check that. I might be wrong, but I know he's been solid for them. Pittsburgh. They got to re-sign Teddy Bluger. There wasn't really anyone that they needed to re-sign, but Bluger's been decent, so I decided to put him on the list. Best to trade, Juuso Ricola, because he doesn't want to play for them, or because there's... And then Radim Zahorna, who is a prospect for them, but he just hasn't gotten any playing time because the Penguins don't need him. So my trade is... because he's 6'6", he's a really good prospect. So Radim Zahorna and fourth for Anders Bjork. You've never heard of him, so you're like, okay, yep.
Yeah.
What's your trade with the Penguins?
Hear me out.
I hear that and I'm worried.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh, so From Minnesota, Kaprizov for a second-round pick. I've made a grave mistake. Be quiet, cat. Don't share in my despair.
Dude, Pittsburgh would be laughing so hard. They'd be like, yes, give us the Calder Trophy winner. Like, it's guaranteed. You want to give away Dollar Bill Krill? Dude. My cat in the background. But, dude, Krill Kaprizov has been nuts. And you're trying, like, yeah, give us a second round pick. You could get, you could say...
Give me Crosby for Kaprizov.
No. You could say...
Give me Crosby, Letang, and Gensel for Kaprizov.
I wouldn't say you could get Gensel for Kaprizov. I would say if you do Kaprizov and a second, or a Kaprizov and a first, even, for Gensel, you could do that.
Rust.
Yeah, Kaprizov for Rust and 2 seconds is... Or maybe Rust, Marino, and a second for Kaprizov, but you're not going to get a good value. Kaprizov, you gotta stay in Minnesota. Dear God, you tried to trade Kaprizov for a second-round pick, and I'm never going to forget that. Years later, if he's like the Hart Trophy winner, Krill Kaprizov, I'm going to say, dude, you wanted to trade him for a second-round pick. Alright, moving on. San Jose. They have to re-sign Donato and Rudolph's Balcers, because Balcers has been really good for them. He's a good new prospect. And Donato's actually been really good too. He's higher than... He's doing well. He's like almost at 0.8 points per game, which is better than it sounds. Players to trade: Patrick Marleau, Marcus Sorensen, and Matt Nieto. Depth pieces for contenders. Marleau is like, if they trade anyone, it'll be Marleau, because he'll be going to a contending team with a chance of winning a Stanley Cup. Now, my trades have been interesting. It's taking it is Mario Ferraro and a fourth for Jake DeBrusk and a second. Ferraro is one of their best young defensemen, and I'm like, yeah, here, take DeBrusk and a third. You got it. But it's not a bad trade. It's an even trade. It's just like a bit for them. What is your... I'm guessing because you started running out of players, you started giving away the good players on Minnesota, I'm guessing. Am I right?
Marcus Johansen for Kevin LeBlanc.
Do you know the value of Kevin LeBlanc?
Yeah. One Marcus Johansen.
That was really funny. That was really funny. But no, you're off. You're off, buddy. So it could be Johansen, a second and a third for LeBlanc. But that's still a bit... no, that'd be even, actually. That'd be a good trade. Sort of. Alright. Moving on. St. Louis. Players to re-sign Jordan Kyrou. He's been awesome. Rookie... or second year. He's been awesome. To trade. You want to just talk about St. Louis crashing and burning for a second? It's really funny to me.
Oh, I'd love to. Go ahead.
Okay. So St. Louis, they were they were fourth, and they were battling Minnesota for third, and then I don't know if a rat died in their locker room, but now They are tied for 5th with the Sharks. Arizona's past them. They are losing a ton of games. They just lost 6-1 to Vegas. So, in my opinion, it's time for them to sell. Your camera froze, by the way. I'll let you refix that. Alright. So, the players they need to trade: Mike Hoffman, Jaden Schwartz, Carl Gunnarsson, and Vince Dunn. They need to sell. They're not a good team right now.
Okay.
And my trade is Vince Dunn for John Moore, a 2nd and a 4th.
Mine's Matt Dumba for Torrey Krug. Bum bum ba-dum, boing.
Now, if you do Matt Dumba and a 2nd, that goes through. Probably. Krug hasn't really lived up to his contract in St. Louis. So, also you're froze again.
To trade for Torrey Krug.
Oh, you're good. You could get Krug, yeah.
Zach Werenski.
And then trade Krug for Werenski. Like, here you go, slap Krug. Yeah. I could see Dumba in a 2nd for Krug going through. The final teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams left. Let's get through them. I'm hungry. Alright. Key players to resign: Blake Coleman for Tampa Bay. And then best to trade: Cal Foote and Jamel Smith. Because Foote does not fit on their team. He hasn't been getting a lot of ice time.
The foot doesn't fit. If the shoe fits.
And then Jamel Smith is also not getting ice time at all. So I said Cal Foote for a 2nd. Yeah, that's it.
Cal Foote. I said Jordan Greenway for Joseph Matthew. I can see the disappointment in your eyes.
I think you could get a bit more with Greenway, so maybe like a 3rd or even a 2nd for Greenway, but that could go through. Now with Toronto, the best players to trade for them, or the key players to re-sign, is Zach Hyman and Jason Spezza if he doesn't retire, because Spezza has 27 points in 39 games. That's pretty good. So, I like Spezza for there. And then, the best players to trade: Freddie Anderson and Travis Dermott too. But, and then, what's your trade? Oh no, I can tell you're gonna, you know I'm gonna be disappointed. I don't know why I'm gonna be disappointed. Maybe I'm gonna be disappointed. I don't know.
Ian Cole for Alexander Barabanov.
Alexander Barbanov. I'm gonna check Toronto's roster because I don't know what you're saying.
Barbara Ann.
Oh, I'm already on cap-friendly teams. Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, Alexander Barbanov. Or Alexander Barabanov. I could go through.
Just you contemplating.
We could maybe add like a fourth with Barabanov. Barabanov.
Yeah.
Barabanov.
Barabanov.
But yeah, that yeah. Vancouver. Alex Edler, Jordy Ben, and Jimmy VC are the players that they can trade. They claimed VC off of waivers. I didn't even notice that, but he could get traded, yeah. And then players to resign, Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. What's your trade?
Jonas Brodin for Jordy Ben.
You can add a third in there with Ben and you'll be good. Yeah, that's a good trade.
Yay! I did.
Or maybe no, a second, because Brodin is better than Ben. Like if you have Brodin, Werenski, and Jordy Ben, if you have Jordan or
Jordan.
if you have Werenski, Brodin, and Ben all in a tier list, Werenski, Brodin is like middle, and Ben is lowest. So yeah. What do you think about Alex Edler retain 50% of it, so that's $3 million to the Bruins, for a second and Bjork?
Yeah, that's okay.
Because Edler has not been that good.
Vegas, we gotta do this quick.
Yeah. Okay, Vegas has no key players to re-sign. None.
Oh, I said Alec Martinez and Thomas Nosek.
They were the best players to trade for me because they have a very deep team and they don't really need... They could get other players for them. So, my trade, listen to me on this. Thomas Nosek and Alec Martinez for 2 second-rounders, Anders Bjork and John Moore.
Kevin Fiala and for Thomas Nosek.
You could get more.
You froze. Up there you go.
You froze. You've been frozen. I just didn't tell you.
You're mean.
I didn't. I was announcing my Vegas trade. It was a big trade for me. I like it. I like this trade. What do you think about Nosek and Martinez for 2 second-rounders, Bjork and Moore?
I think that's good.
Yeah, maybe switch more for...
Nosek for,
Yeah, Nosek and... You switch more for prospect, but Nosek and Fiala... Fiala is definitely better than Nosek. You could get, like, Nosek and a first.
And Martinez.
Or not... Yeah, if you do Nosek and Martinez for Fiala, that would be a trade that went through.
Alright, then yeah, that's what I am doing.
Pog. Capitals. We have 2 teams left. So they need to re-sign Ovi and Samsonov. And the best players to trade are Vrana, Siegenthaler, and Anderson. And I didn't have a trade for them. What's your trade?
Carson Soucy for my man, Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
I'm not surprised, and also that's a solid trade, yeah. They did just...
I thought you were gonna say no.
They did just re-sign Trevor Van Riemsdyk, so that might not go through. But it's a reasonable trade. It's just he just re-signed there, so I think he likes it.
Okay, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, final one. They need to re-sign Neil Pionk. And then key players to trade Adam Lowry and Mathieu Perreault. And my mock trade is Adam Lowry for a third and a fourth. Because...
Mine's Adam Lowry for Marcus Foligno.
Probably need to, like, maybe add a third. Because, like, Foligno is worth a fourth. Alright, guys, subscribe to the Tumblin Muffins YouTube channel. Other than that, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, and enjoy the rest of your day.
As always, I hope you enjoy.
Alright, my name's Noah.
My name's Ben, and this has been
The Tumblin Muffins. Peace.